What's going on, Pathways Church? I'm Jake Collins, your middle school pastor, and I'm excited to join you this week on Daily Dose. This week, we're looking at examples of famous last words in Scripture. These are some examples of what key biblical figures had to say in the final days of their journeys. These words help us to gain perspective as we study their stories and as we seek to follow God in our own lives. The most famous last word in the world of movies has to be Rosebud. In the classic film Citizen Kane, Charles Kane grows from a small newspaper owner to a media mogul and eventually to an aspiring politician. His final word confuses reporters because they have no idea which part of his life he's talking about. Is it business? Is it politics? Is it marriage? Spoiler alert, it turns out to be that he misses the fun and innocence that he experienced as a child, represented by a sled with the word Rosebud on it. Now let's jump over to Scripture and look at the life of David. Like Cain, David's life included many different chapters. He went from a humble shepherd to an unexpected warrior to a military hero to an outlaw and eventually to a king. He also had an incredible talent for music and songwriting. Near the end of his life, David makes his final speech. Unlike Cain, David's speech is way more than one word. But take a look at where his mind goes when he's given a chance to talk about his life. In 2 Samuel 23:2, David begins, "The Spirit of the Lord spoke through me. His word was on my tongue." He does not start with royal achievements or military victories. His first priority is to celebrate the fact that he was a vessel that God used to speak. A great prayer for all of us is, God, would you use us to speak into the lives of the people in our community for your glory? I started college as a worship leadership major. During my freshman year, the worship pastor from the local megachurch came to do a seminar. I was excited because I thought he was going to talk about audio loops, arrangements, gear, that kind of technical stuff. Instead, he started with 3 key ideas. We are children of God, we are ministers to people, and then we are worship leaders. We have to start with our central priorities, loving God with all that we are and loving others as ourselves. You could swap the phrase worship leader for whichever role God has called you to: teacher, banker, law enforcement officer, retail worker, whatever it is. But for all of us, our priorities go back to loving God and sharing His truth with those in our lives. That's all for today. Join me tomorrow as we wrap up the week on Daily Dose.